this is. And then this is that old town manager position from 2022, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I don't know when that was up. When was Caleb hired?
Parks, they were not answering to me. In fact, Parks, the Parks Committee designated Neil as their staff, so. And
Yeah, but according to what Christie was just saying,
No, to
No,
answer
to
to Aaron.
they all answer to Aaron.
Like right
Oh,
now,
I'm sorry,
everyone
Aaron.
kind of answers to Aaron, everyone being just the streets and parks and then Melanie, but, and when I put here about, on the deputy clerk, it says full-time non-exempt, I put is it, because I just question if that is a non-exempt. If that should, if that's not, something being an exempt employee versus non-exempt is, it can be kind of gray, especially with the IRS, and so I just was questioning that a little bit, but that's really nothing here nor there right now. So these are just my notes. I also went through I just did a Google search on wage, and I put in like, Colorado town manager, wage scale, and same with the clerk, and just to make sure that, you know, we are in the range, are we in the range? And just so like going forward, but I just want to know, I want to know how you guys feel or what you think we need to do with whether you think it's a town manager, whether you think it's this, what is it? Operations coordinator, which really to me looks, when I read through it, looks like a town manager. Or do we want to look at something different?
Having been part of all that, and there was a lot of tumult in the past.
Oh, yeah.
I think the term town manager is a bad term, because managing who, to what extent, where's the priority, all that. So the reason we had town operations coordinator was to stay away from that term, but also this job was making things happen, not managing the town. So I really think we should never use the term town manager. And some of this got beefed up because at the time Neil was pointing out some of the things that we were supposed to be doing that we don't, like safety coordinator and all sorts of stuff like that.
And I'm kind of wondering along those lines, because a safety coordinator, are we like, there was some things in here that it talked about, not just safety, but it talked about, you know, like equipment inspections and things. And in my mind, if the streets and parks person manager is the one that's dealing with all of that equipment, then why wouldn't that person be in charge of doing
You're
all
right,
of the
you're right.
safety inspections on equipment? Like, why would some office person, I'm not saying that in a derogatory way, but why would that person that doesn't deal with the equipment every single day be doing whether it's Aaron or anybody else, be doing the inspections on the
Well,
equipment?
And Neil picked that up. He, you know, brought that up and while we were doing all this, and he said, you know, it's his, especially like CDLs and all that kind of, and compliance with DOT, the state DOT for making sure the equipment's certified and all that. So he put that under his position. Art's been trying to say something here,
Art.
Christie.
Oh, sorry.
It seemed to me that we better be looking at a zoning office with all the stuff going on with building here and everything's going on in town. We're gonna get ourselves in a real bind if we don't.
Yeah,
It's coming and we better be ahead of it.
Yeah.
what I remember from, years ago, when Caleb left, the board looked at all the stuff that was being done, and it was discussed that the majority of the things could be handled by the clerk and the deputy clerk. And so that increased their responsibilities a significant amount, you know, a lot. So what I remember, they both got a rather significant increase in pay because of the responsibilities. Right. And at that time, we did realize that we wouldn't have a full-time zoning, and we definitely wouldn't have the code enforcement officer. And that was the push. We were gonna have another workshop and work about trying to get a a position together, and I think we had one, maybe two, I'm sure we had one. But nothing really ever came out of it, I don't remember.
Well, we did advertise for a part-time job.
And you.
And we interviewed, I guess only one person applied, and he was a highly qualified guy. He had been in charge of like Pueblo project coordination or development or something. But he was retired and wasn't really all that enthused, and so Paul and I did the interview and we decided this wasn't gonna work. And that, which brought up the real issue, that was a part-time job because we couldn't justify full-time. And I don't know if we can now. And so if it's a part-time job, we eliminate every married
Yeah.
father or mother who might otherwise.
I don't think it's a part-time job with all that's going on.
I think
We're gonna end up in a big lawsuit or something. We better be prepared.
my opinion, I think that we should be looking for a guy that can do the code enforcement, the zoning, and the stuff that Dwight's doing, because Dwight's he's probably getting like Neil, getting ready, I'm thinking about getting the heck out of here. And at that point, if those both jobs were combined, that would definitely be a full-time position. Right, and like Mark just said,
Well,
my opinion, even though I'm one of them, retirees retired for a reason. You know, we're done.
Remind me what that is.
I know, I looked at schedule this morning and went, oh,
don't we
God.
have, is Neil, Dwight able to keep up with what we have
Oh,
going?
by far,
By
yeah,
far.
yeah, he's not overly busy. If he does leave, it would be to move back to the Aspen area where he has a house. But he's not overworked.
No,
By any means.
that was my thinking, but you're getting things, but I hear what you are saying, and we're gonna get some things going, but remember too, we could outsource certain inspections, especially like when we get going with the workforce housing or
But who's
whatever.
gonna oversee doing that?
There again, if we have another Dwight or type of thing, those are just options, we have to look at. And code enforcement, we do have
Code
some,
enforcement,
that's the big thing. We do have some fire situations that we're concerned about.
People living along the streets.
Randy
right.
has a.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you do all of this paperwork,
Well,
don't
I
you?
do all of his paperwork, filing,
So
I
that takes a
do quite
while.
a bit of what, yeah,
If you had a person that was doing all of that,
yeah,
that would be at least a half-time person, correct?
yeah, oh, if
Because
that,
right
yeah.
now, he's only doing what, 8 hours a week?
He's doing he's doing 8 hours a week, and yeah, again, with the inspections just on buildings and structures and whatnot, yeah, that
And then-
part isn't,
And then trying to keep up with all the stuff that has been neglected, shall I say, over the last several years, I mean, people just going over here and doing whatever they felt like doing.
right,
Yeah.
in regards to build,
Some of you know whom I'm talking about too.
in regard to building like hand signs and
Planning commission
fences.
meeting.
Dwight will put a stop work or he knows what's not right, and he will do that stop work order and then work with them to get it going, but that I think that's only happened twice since Caleb has left, and Dwight was able to work it out with them so that they were, following the rules in code.
Well, if this gets going out here, it's gonna keep somebody real busy right there.
What is it that you're?
Bank.
referring-
Well, we got a
Bank.
bank coming up, but also I think he's talking about the workforce housing, if
Oh.
we get
Yeah.
stuff
You
being
can-
built
You're
up.
gonna,
That's a couple of years down the road.
Right.
yeah, but we better be ready.
I understand.
And
but
wouldn't
now you
that go
have-
along with like the grant, I mean, but if it's a developer, then I'm just for that one project, somebody could project manage like they have with the infrastructure project.
I just think that, since we don't, it's very known, I feel that we don't have someone doing code enforcement, and I think that's starting to be grossly taken advantage of. I think that, Caleb kind of came in strong armed, and he went after what I call the low hanging fruit, which were the really old people that have been here for a million years. They were easy targets, and I don't want that. I mean, we need to have someone that's gonna do enforcement but it's gonna be somewhat diplomatic about it, not piss everyone off and make, like my neighbor go and move his guns to Bob's house because seriously, that happened. Cause he's like, if that kid comes over one more time, so we need someone that has some diplomacy.
Oh, I know who you're talking.
Yeah.
Oh,
Randy had a.
Well, go ahead, I'll get back on to it.
I was just thinking, I thought Dwight was talking about retirement.
Well, he is, I mean, he's definitely gonna retire, he hasn't put any kind of timeline on it, so.
Oh,
Well, and you don't wanna wait till all of a sudden, hey, I'm gonna be gone next month.
Yeah.
You need to get somebody in to take care of that.
Well, and I have heard some complaints from builders, even if we don't have a ton of building going on right now, that it's hard when he's only there Tuesday and Thursday, and maybe you've got concrete that the only day they can bring it in is Friday. Now you're stuck waiting another week till Tuesday before you can continue on with your project. So I do think that a person that would be doing that job, even if they're not in the office all the time, maybe they have a phone, a town cell phone that, these things happen at weird times. You're dealing with contractors and all the enforcement. I mean, it's, you don't know when the concrete can be delivered or when this can be delivered or the painter can get there or whatever. So you're it's hard to deal with just 2
Yeah,
days,
if he comes up.
2 days a week, 4 hours a day.
He comes up and finds something and you gotta correct it, then he writes it down, then the guy's gotta go correct it, then it's gotta be re-inspected again, so, yes.
so I guess
I know what you're saying, that we need somebody that's gonna be here.
Either here or on call,
Right.
with like an hour's response time.
Yeah,
We already hired somebody to do that, because we was gonna get a bonus and spend Jerry Pearl. So
Right,
why don't we get somebody here all the time?
right. Well, that's the discussion. And then if we want someone here all the time, we need to design what that position is going to be, which we probably can look at other positions like that through the listserv or whatever and see how they've spelled it out. Or we can use this
coordinator?
yes, as a place to start. I think that this position has a lot of things in it that I don't necessarily think it needs. I mean, to me, I think a big thing is that whoever that person is going to be, if they're going to be working full-time in a community of this size, that they're willing to do things like look for grants, be comfortable on the computer to look for things. If they need to, pinch hit, maybe we've got a crisis and we're short-staffed with the parks and something big is happening, and can they run out there and help? It's really about being a team player, I guess.
Just like in the old days, Don Stewart, well, they needed somebody out there in the parks, he was out mowing grass.
Right, I mean, it's just, I know things are different now and I'm older, but I don't like this mentality of, well, that's not my
That's not my
job.
job.
That's not my job. I
Yeah.
mean, all of our job is to keep the town running smooth and looking good.
And be
I
a
wanna
good steward
make
of
sure
our
that-
dollars.
They would keep somebody that is, the buck stops here. Now, if you don't agree with it, then you bring it to the board. But if we got an ordinance out there and he comes up and says, oh, well, I don't think you have to really go by that.
Yeah,
Yeah, Then all of a
Right.
sudden, then all of a sudden, somebody else comes up, well, hey, you let him do it. So we need one person in here, and I'm pointing at you, that says, no, you can't do this. You need to take it to the board.
And that's one thing, since you bring up ordinances, that I feel that this position, particularly if it's slower, when we don't have a bunch of building going on, is that they're going through and they're reading our ordinances and they're going like, wow, this is gray, or this is not really clear, we need to revisit this ordinance. So I mean, I'd like to see someone start at our first ordinance and just start going through. And that's just about, in my mind, common sense and knowing how to read and knowing,
The grants things that Bob and I and you all worked on with us, you know, for the facade grants, you know. I brought up the thing about the, things on public property, you know?
right,
about-
yeah, and there's things like that, that if it was being handled on the front end, we wouldn't be in the position that we are right now,
Right.
where, oh gosh, there's
We've
a
got people.
sign in the public right of way.
And I know one person that, whenever I bring it up, is going to be quite upset about it. But the whole thing is too, is you got somebody out there enforcing, they drive around this town every day and double check to make sure people aren't doing things. And if it is questionable, come back, check your ordinances, check if they're on the town's property.
Right, I mean, I do think, while there might not be a lot of construction going on right now, that there's enough things that haven't been being done over the last years that they can stay busy.
How many places have we got that are doing something now?
What do you mean?
Well,
Active
remodeling, I
building
saw
permit.
3 or 4.
active building
Oh,
permit.
yeah, I don't know, how many active building permits do we have right now?
There's about 5.
See there?
Yeah, that's at least one. Just
Yeah.
driving around and looking.
Some
at
Several
remodels.
on Main Street.
Yeah, there's
you
one
got-
on Main Street, there's 3.
That's enough to keep somebody
On
busy right
Cherry.
there.
The bank is gonna start going up, and
You got that old building down there on Main Street,
it's a remodel.
We better get
that's
ahead of
a-
it.
Yeah, but
I
they
mean,
still
that thing
need
is
to.
basically a,
Yeah, I mean, altogether with like roofings and decks, I think there's around 11, and I'm not sure how many of those can be closed out because paperwork with Dwight, his paperwork system isn't, easy to find, or easy to figure out, but, yeah. He knows where everything is and he knows what's going on. He just puts it in different places sometimes, so I have to find it, but.
So I think that this
Not
position,
learning better.
that whatever the position would be, is that Melanie is not their personal secretary. Melanie's not their assistant. Obviously she could help if needed, but we want someone that can do their own paperwork.
Yeah, I don't mind with Dwight, I actually like it, but yeah, somebody else needs to know how to use a computer and. that
And
kind of
we
stuff. But
just-
I love Dwight, so I do it.
Going off of what Mark said, we didn't have much success in finding a part-time person, because part-time people are semi-retired or whatever, don't need the income so much, and that defeats getting someone. So we do need to maybe be looking at a full-time position.
That was certainly our experience. I mean, there was just nobody under the age of retirement that applied at all. And being that this particular guy, I mean, maybe he's not representative of everybody, was not too enthused, like, code enforcement. And so,
Nobody wants to be an asshole.
there you
I
go.
think it is
We
not,
got that covered already.
Yeah, but-
So,
I can do that.
you can do it and not be,
but, so it seems to me it's full-time or nothing.
Well,
yeah.
the right personality can do it and not be hated.
Don't have to be abrasive.
Yeah, they don't
That's
have,
tough.
there's, I mean, and that is it takes the right personality and.
It's trying to be, cordial and nice, and can you please get this taken care of? And then on the third, can you please get this taken care of? Maybe the pleases to go away.
Right, and
You
it
know?
needs to be, it's, I'm not saying it's like, you have until tomorrow to get this done, but maybe it is, all right, what's the game plan here? When do you think you can get this taken care of so that you're really, we wanna work with our citizens, we don't wanna be like,
Right.
but we want it done, and but looking at the ordinances, I feel very strongly that if it's an ordinance that isn't being enforced, we shouldn't have it, so.
Or modified.
Yeah, we should, but I hate having ordinances and we can sit here and go, well, that's that's against the rules. But nobody's enforcing that rule, and so people are like, okay, whatever. So, someone that, I do think that the enforcement is a big deal. Now, another thing to think about, and I don't know if we have any existing staff that would be interested in this, but Silver Cliff has bumped up the pay of one of their parks, streets and parks people, and she does the enforcement, and she goes around and she talks to the citizens if they're out of compliance, and then she ends up, putting the notices on the doors and taking those steps. But I don't know if we have anybody on staff that would be interested.
Chris,
And then what do we do about the building permits?
Right, I mean, we're still kind of circle back around to,
sure.
I think Dan would be good at it if he wants to do it. We have one person we think would be good at it and can be very diplomatic and is super smart and knows the law. Like, he would be able to memorize or figure out or learn whatever our code, and
so he might be someone that could look at that whole position, that planning and zoning.
not the whole position. He's got kids that he's only works part-time right now, and he wants to be super involved with his kids, so he's staying part-time. But if he was doing code enforcement on top of that while he's driving around with streets and parks, I think we both think right? Yeah, we both think he could. Deontay? He's not the new guy, but he's the second to new guy.
He's gonna help us carry the boxes and stuff for the
Yeah.
highway.
And he lives pretty close by.
He lives in Silver Cliff.
Silver Cliff, yeah, so pretty close by, yeah.
And you know what, and I'm not sure how well he was received, but could this be, because both of us are small communities and not a whole lot going on? It's pretty steady though, but how well is the, Chris, the Silver Cliff, code guy and enforcement? I don't know, I'm just throwing it
Well,
out.
I
there.
talked with Silver Cliff, I do talk with Buck often, and I asked him, is Chris full-time? He said, oh yeah, he's very busy. I do get the strong feeling that the idea of sharing employees with Silver Cliff is not on the table. I've talked with,
It's gonna cause a
Buck
problem.
about it, yeah.
It's gonna cause a problem, yeah.
As soon as you start doing that, you're gonna have the old hard noses go, we can't have this combined.
Yeah, all the people that say we're supposed to combine the towns are gonna be like, why are we doing this together?
That's
It's
right.
a no-win.
Well, but again, because this situation is basically, speaking of the devil, here's our new man.
You sent me a message and I didn't get to listen because I'm
We're
here.
doing a walkthrough with Round Mountain Water. I can tell you what we did if you want to hear it.
Yeah, can we just do that really quick? We're not
Yeah.
making a decision or anything.
Round Mountain pretty much accepted everything. They got a few checklists of bringing some tracer wire up the surface and inside manholes. But besides that, every test is passed, everything's good. Pressure test was good. Bacteria test was good, everything's good. So Dave's gonna do a final thing to Amanda and say, yeah, this is good.
So then we'll pay Mountain Valley completely off and we'll be done?
I don't know, that's a question I had to ask, was gonna ask you. They put in a payout for the third payout and they never got a response from Amanda, I guess.
I didn't see a third one.
So they put it directly into Amanda, but they never
Okay.
got a response.
Okay.
Same story.
Yep, it's been the fight, this has been the fight the whole.
It has been.
ridiculous.
So
Well-
he's pretty upset, but he says, I'm just gonna put in, they're gonna finish grading on Monday. So the question was, you want your town man and me to go walk the road and say, hey, that's good enough? What are you looking for?
We don't have a town man. That's what we're talking about right now.
I thought you had a town man that took over Neil's spot.
Oh, that town, I was like, we don't have a town manager.
No, a road
No.
guy.
Mickey,
Jerry's
yeah,
still
we
old
have
school.
Mickey.
Jerry, we're still old school.
So do you want me to try to get with him and, I mean, is he gonna make that call? Because everything was two-tracked except the road going to Twyla's,
Yeah.
and he's gonna gravel on Monday, and then going out to the subdivision where I live.
Yeah.
Right through there.
He's off today, but
Okay.
he's out of town. I'll give you his phone number.
They're not gonna do any grading until Monday, so I figured we wouldn't do anything until he finishes. He's just got cleanup now and grading.
I haven't checked that out.
All that's been compacted, all like,
Yep, they got all the tests back for all the compaction tests. I think they're waiting for one for the water and the water compaction test, but The initial test when them guys were up, everything looked good, so it's just a matter of them turning the report into Amanda.
Were the manholes brought up to grade or does the grade exist yet?
The existing grade, they're brought up to them, they have the concrete around them, they poured all the
We
concrete.
did that
I
already, the
will
concrete.
tell you, Nikki is gonna be gone Monday. He already requested to have Monday.
We probably won't be ready to look until he's done
Oh,
graded, so maybe next week, I'm just gonna get with him.
Here's his phone number.
Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe this should be
Yeah.
done and out, cleaned up and everything.
And then in the meantime, let's just reach out to Amanda and be like, third pay app, can we do that? Or do you think that we should wait, since we're so close to being all the way done, just wait?
That's what I would do now almost.
Okay.
I don't know if in that contract that she's got that it says you gotta wait so many days to get the 10% back. If there's a 90-day,
I thought there was.
see, that's what I don't know.
That's typical, yeah.
But the rest of it should be able to be paid to him now, after you guys do this walkthrough on Tuesday.
Well, yeah, it should have been done. That 10% should have covered anything checklist that came up, but we haven't heard anything from her. I tried to send an email. I don't know, it was last week when he sent his, I haven't seen.
Didn't they, Colorado City, didn't they?
Yeah, they had to
evacuate and all
evacuate,
that?
but they're working out of their houses or something.
Yeah.
So I can try to call her again today and see, but she's gonna wait for Dave's final report, so she's not gonna get it probably till Monday.
Yeah, so,
But Ed's saying, I'm gonna put in for 100%. I said, well, you can put in for 100%, but they're still gonna take 10% out until, he says, no, they gotta pay me for that 10% too.
I don't remember if it's 30 days. I think there's
There
a
is a-
holdout on that
there is a
10%. I know there is.
Okay.
It's 30 or 90.
He
It's
doesn't know.
contingency, basically.
Well, I'm sorry if he doesn't know that, then he needed to read the RFP a little better, because it's in there.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
I didn't ever see that page or anything on that, so the only thing I got was Round Mountain specs,
Right.
and that's what I was going by. So, but everything, I mean, it's good. I mean, everything's working great and
But he should put in for the 100%, but he's
Right.
just gonna be paid that less than 10%, most
I
likely.
think he did put in for the 100% on the first payout, but he hasn't got, that was last
I
week
don't-
on
Did
Tuesday,
he?
he put it
All
in,
right.
and she hasn't responded back.
We'll reach out to Amanda, try again and see what's going on with that. But
That's the only thing is, right,
wow.
he should be paid for the third payout, which gets him what, I think then there's the 10%, which is about $60,000.
Yeah.
I'll leave you guys alone, but, everything looks good, and they're getting it there. He's pretty upset. He was gonna gravel a couple more roads for you, but he said, I'm not going to now. This has been a pain. He says, I'll put them back how they were and leave the other ones. The alleys,
Strong work, Amanda.
I know, cause he was gonna do the one by the park, gravel that whole thing, and I'm not gonna do it now. So,
Okay, I don't blame him.
He said if he doesn't get paid next week, he's gonna get his attorney on it. And
Yeah.
I says, you can do whatever you want. I says, but that doesn't make no sense, Ed. He says, well, you're not in my spot. And I says, you're right, I'm not, but he's
Yeah.
not gonna get any extra. I mean, you want an extra 5% because they haven't paid you? That's what he was saying. I'm gonna charge him 5% because I haven't got paid for some of
You
this stuff.
can't do that, anyway.
Well, I kinda told him that. I go, so
Yeah.
you know how Ed is, though. He can get kind of wound up, but
Yeah, all right, well,
He's making me
then
look bad,
we'll,
'cause-
we'll reach out to Amanda and see what the holdup is and try to get that.
that would be the only thing, I would think.
Okay,
There's no reason she can't do it now.
okay.
Dave verbally said this morning he was gonna accept it. He says, should send me some pictures of the 3 corrections, I think there was only.
Okay.
And that was tracer wire was it,
All right,
so.
sounds good, thanks.
And then I'll get with your town guy on the roads once he's done next week and then. I don't know what he's gonna say. I'm just looking, I says, hey, Twyla wants the road gravel to her storage unit going by there. It's pretty rough. He says, no, it's not. I says, well. So. I said, they're not gonna give you your rest of your 10% if you don't take care of the road. Cause you have $8,000 on the road finishing it.
Yeah,
And D-Mope's still on there too, so.
Yeah.
But all testing's done, so. Everything's passed, everything looks good.
All right.
so. And I still think we have a year if there's anything that settles, right?
Mhm.
That he's
That's
gotta
the
come
bond.
back and
The bond.
fix. The bond covers that, right?
Yeah.
So,
Have you been paid?
I haven't put in my last bill yet.
They get paid by the town.
I know, that's it.
Amanda's
I haven't got any money slipped under the table, so I don't know what's going on. I thought these jobs in your inspector, they paid you off a little bit,
How
but
much is this worth?
I eat them all the time, but yeah. Okay, so I'll let you guys be, but, so it's good.
Thanks.
If you can get a hold of Amanda, maybe?
Okay.
That'd be the only thing.
Jerry, we thank you for helping us on
Yes,
that.
thank you.
And if, should we need any other help, can we call you first or not?
Yeah.
You know, the hours I submitted were kind of higher the last 2 weeks because of all the pressure testing and all that stuff that came up, but I still wasn't over kind of what I told you it'd cost.
No, I'm not worried about it. I'm talking about the future.
No, that's,
The
yeah,
future.
let me know what you got planned. You know, the ex-mayor told me you were gonna hire me to do something else, and I go.
Yeah,
"How do
just so
that,
you
Paul?"
know, Paul was down there offering a job to Jerry.
Right.
For July.
The Fourth
I'm
of
not
July
kidding.
thing, I was wondering if he was drinking a little bit, but I don't think he drinks.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Oh, he does? He's a closet drinker? That's okay, we're all got our habits, you know, our guys.
Push him out of the street. every
We're
time.
actually working on what a position is going to look like, so we'll
Perfect.
let you know.
Yeah, let me know.
Jerry knows a little bit about construction.
Yeah.
And a little bit about dirt work.
And a little bit about difference, a little bit of that, a little bit of that.
Kind of do just everything, you know, a little building, a little.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. No, we appreciate it.
It,
so
it was a tough kind of chore to keep in check. But I feel like, you know, besides a couple times he told me to leave and I said I didn't have to, everything else was pretty good.
Yeah.
We kind of did the corrections when I said, hey, you need to fix that or change that, but.
Yeah.
So he's been guys have been doing a great job and stuff.
He's got a good team. Seems like I have a
He's
good
got a good
team.
team. I would have been, if I was a safety guy, I would have been a lot tougher on his sloping and stuff and benching, but
And there was never an incident
there
where,
wasn't ever an incident, no, so that was good. That's pretty solid when you dig down in that stuff. I mean, I've worked in it before, but.
plus we haven't had, unfortunately, deal
No
with
rain.
mud. No rain.
Right, cause that's what causes troubles. You get all that moisture and it makes fissures and then it once it came off.
So is equipment his or did he,
No, that's all his.
It's not that,
good God.
I know, he's got a lot.
but they're not new.
No, they're not new, but they work good, all that stuff.
Takes care of them,
Are you selling these two plows out here or what?
yeah. Yeah. You ready to go into business? There you go.
I mean, I'm surprised, there's not a for sale sign, is there?
Yeah, it's up for bids, isn't it?
Oh,
It's in the paper.
okay. I'm surprised there's someone out there who probably wants them for plowing snow.
Yeah.
Side business. All I know is they're leaking a little oil on the concrete and.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah,
Good maintenance.
pressure washer and clean that
All that
off.
maintenance.
Just a couple leaks on each one. That was one leak on each one, I think.
It's not leaking, they're marking their spot.
They did do that.
That's right. Put some cardboard under there.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Put a pan on it there.
Yeah.
When do you want me to close this out with my job for you guys? Just give a final bill?
Yeah, I would say, and when,
Once they pulled off everything?
yeah,
or-
I think when everybody's off of there and, when you,
Yeah, because your responsibility is just to make sure it's done right as he's doing it.
right.
And then Round Mountain, you're the liaison, you're our representative with Round Mountain.
Yeah, after it's all done, I'd say,
I'd say next week, they're probably
Yeah.
completely, all the equipment's gone and everything.
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless there's someone with the roads and it's not good enough, he's gonna throw a fit, but you have a retainer for that if he does, so.
Yeah, he does a good job building roads, so.
Yeah, but he doesn't wanna build a road for us, cause he's mad, what I'm saying.
No, he was, he was gonna gravel that road by the park there, but I says, why don't you do it still? I says, you're still making money. He says, I'm not going to.
He had a bad day, I'll talk to him.
I get it.
All
right.
Say, can you please do
Come
that?
on, Ed, come on, Ed.
Thank you.
Take it out of my commission.
Thanks, thank you.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, thank you.
So, and I put down that even if the person doesn't have the certifications for like the building code stuff, that they would need to be able to get that. And what's a timeline you guys have done in the past that they need to get it within a year, or was it 6 months, or what was it?
2 years. I thought Caleb had 2 years is what he
Yeah.
told me, yeah.
Remember
would-
Caleb
That's a
told me?
long time.
From what I remember, well, he was, he was also taking like, trying to get a college degree in like town management. So I may have made that up, though.
I think we had the situation where if they left,
They have to,
they had to pay us back,
Right.
but it was like 2 years after, if they'd gone 2 years, then they didn't have to pay us back.
Right.
Well, he was here for more than 2 years when I got here and he still didn't have,
Well, yeah, I mean, that's after he got his certifications.
oh, he did get it, that, just, okay.
Because he
yeah,
didn't have them when he first
Right, but the
came.
town was paying him for a degree in town management or something, because.
Well, that was building codes things.
Okay, yeah, but it was just, he didn't have it when I got here, so that was more than 2 years that he had been here. And then when he left, it was discussed whether you were gonna make him pay it back or not, and it was decided that he didn't have to pay it back.
He didn't have to pay it back, it was just a couple months before he wouldn't have had to pay it back, so that we just went, I remember.
so then that's a question for the attorney, would be how we would set that up, that, if someone were to get that, if the town were to pay for them to get those certifications, and then they leave within what, that they would need to pay that back, and I mean, I always wonder, like, how does that work? I mean, it's like, I quit a job, someone quits us, and then we're like, what, we go after them with collections or
No,
something?
what you do is you hold their paycheck, we've gone through this. And you take it out of their final paycheck.
And to be honest, I think one of the reasons we let that go was to grease the slide there.
Right.
Well, yeah, but like I said too, it was within a few months,
Yes.
so, it wasn't like, it was a year or something,
It should be in the employee handbook, actually.
I'm thinking, and again, this is gonna be an attorney question, but it would seem to me that it would be smarter to withhold a little bit of money when they start getting that, and then after they reach the threshold of the 2 years, or whatever, then you pay them that back. I just have real concerns with someone leaves and that, what if their final paycheck doesn't equal what all those classes cost?
They pay us that difference. back.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying there, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
We had, this is the US government, and this was our command NAVC. We had a guy, came to work for us, he's one of these brilliant engineers. So he worked on his PhD and accelerated, got his PhD in less than the time that he was supposed to. But he was supposed to be on the hook, work for the government for 3 years after the PhD was acquired, right? To pay back the
Mhm.
time, the investment, right? He left in 18 months. They sued him, NAVC sued him, took him to court, and got his wages attached.
Yeah.
So it's not an uncommon thing.
I would just talk to the attorney about what's gonna be the cleanest, easiest way to do something like that. I just don't want, I feel, when I look back, even since when I first got on the board, we have gone through a town manager position about every 2 years until we got rid of the position. And it just is, like, I feel it comes to a point where we have to go, well, maybe it's not the people, maybe it's the position, or maybe what is the real problem here? I don't necessarily think it's all those people, I mean, but we saw, and maybe we did bad hiring, when we saw one guy he spent all his time building his house while he was a town manager, and then as soon as he got that done, he left. And so there's been things like that, so I mean, I would like to see someone that's, I don't wanna say young like Caleb, but young, not gonna be retiring in 5 years, to have a position like this, and maybe they have insurance and things, and it could be a really good job for someone that's committed to the valley. I mean, honestly, we need someone with personality like Jerry.
I was gonna ask you if it's spelled code, it was.
Yeah, and I guarantee he'd be able to get that, and I'm not saying that there aren't people in this valley right now that could do that job then. So,
So we're adjourned now? Ooh.
yeah, I mean,
No,
yeah, and
no, I was
that's.
teasing, I was teasing.
How did the Sierra show go? Did your granddaughter do well?
There's one still in there now, so, but the one didn't, she did well.
Good. So we've just kind of been talking about what we would do and really feel that the town manager title is not good. And that's why there was this idea of the coordinator, what do we call it? Who's that?
Administrator, coordinator.
Operations coordinator.
Operations coordinator.
Operations
But maybe we've kind of been talking now more that we're needing like a zoning officer / code enforcement person. But someone that's going to be willing to be a team player, needs to be able to do their own paperwork, because right now Melanie does all the paperwork for Dwight. They would be able to look over read the ordinances, make sense, then decide like, yeah, this ordinance needs to be revisited, or that, like take the gray out of our ordinances. And that because of the hiring that's been tried to be done in the past, with this being a part-time position, wasn't much interest, and so maybe a full-time position would be something more appealing to some people. And that they would need to be able to get, if they're not certified already to do building inspections and things, they would need to be able to do that.
Yes.
And we were just talking about how long they should have to be able to get those certifications.
Yeah, and there, he had to sign some sort of paperwork, I remember, about all of that and how long he had to work and to get,
Okay.
before he had to pay. There's something in somebody's file over there.
They definitely have to sign something to acknowledge that they have a responsibility to, work for so long.
Town's
Right,
investing.
so in the past, the town has been willing to pay for people to get their certifications, but then if they leave before a certain number of, we gotta figure out how long that was, then they have to pay the town back for
Some commitment.
that, right, so some commitment.
Another approach could be, once they've got a certification that they paid for, we pay them back incrementally
Yeah,
over a period of time.
That's another way to do it too. And a clear job description.
yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's the hard part. It's always hard to tell who's answerable. In the job description, you have to say who you are answerable to
Right.
and who you are in charge of.
So
Yes.
I was kind of feeling,
And that kit was, that was a big deal last time.
That's always a problem. I
Yeah,
mean,
oh yeah.
the board member comes and says that you need to do something, but if you've been assigned something else by someone else,
Right.
then, they don't need to be involved in that kind of conflict.
and
Shouldn't
no,
be involved in it. If anybody, if the board had to get involved in it, if it was outside of the time for our meetings, then it would be Christie as mayor.
And that was the only reason to have the term, the word manager in it, in my opinion, is that then everybody else is coming to them. Somebody has to be answerable. Everybody that works here on the salary has to have somebody that they answer to.
and I was kind of thinking that if we had, so in this town coordinator position, it kind of talked that like streets and parks answered to that person. But in my mind, I kind of am seeing, we've got us, and then we've got like clerk and deputy clerk under the clerk, streets and parks, and the employees that he has, and then planning and zoning. So those are like all three answering to us. And maybe we divvy those up to, if it's not during it, and I would expect all those people to be at our meeting every month doing a report.
Right.
And if there's something in the interim, maybe we have a chain of command, or maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be me, but maybe someone else wants to kind of deal with streets and parks, or someone else wants to deal with the planning. I mean, we could work through that, because I think we have a little bit of time right now, because I don't feel that we're in a financial position to hire someone right now, but I think we need to have this in place and have it budgeted and look to do this for the 27 fiscal
We
year.
have that 40,000 in the budget for potential person.
So we could maybe start them at the end of this year sometime, but then work up. So then the next question, I guess, because we're kind of getting a feel for what this position would be is, what do you guys think it needs to be paid?
Say that again?
Can
How
we go,
much do they get paid?
can we go back a second?
Yeah.
So one of the things I've observed in having studied the laws, and there aren't that many about how towns and cities work, is that I think the town laws are so vague. They, for example, say that the mayor is just a board member who runs meetings, right? There's no inherent power beyond that. Now, it doesn't say Christie couldn't have more authority if we wanted to do it. And I think Dola or somebody thinks that we should be embracing this sort of strong mayor. Caleb talked about it all the time, but that was for city law. And it's not clear there. Pueblo's been going back and forth between a mayor and a strong manager. They can't solve this either. So it seems to me, what you've suggested is something we need to take seriously. Do we want to ascribe one person that any instructions come from them and not any other board member? And that would probably be a sensible thing to do. Because I think Caleb used to say, who do I work for? Apparently,
Work
all
for the
seven of us.
board.
Well, you do work for the board, but it is not fair that like, and this is something we dealt with years ago when we eliminated the town manager position because it wasn't working. That those positions then did answer to the mayor on a daily basis, so that like a board member couldn't just come in and be like, you need to go do this, that, and there wasn't all this. And it's the same with even with the attorney. I don't know if this has changed, but it was that, you know, if you have a question for the attorney, the board or even me doesn't just go and call the attorney, because we were getting huge bills because we had board members. And I don't want to say anybody's name like Joe Cascarelli, because I love him and God rest his soul, but he liked to call the attorney.
Yeah, so I guess that's my point, that if the situation is a ball of puppy dogs, right? I mean, there's no clarity here. So as far as, I'm not an attorney, but as far as my reading of the town laws, as I said, you have no more inherent authority than anybody else according to law. That doesn't mean we can't say, okay, that's how we're gonna do business. If we do that, we should clearly declare that in a public manner. So,
We actually went through this.
Yeah, I was
We
gonna say,
actually went through this, a while back because of the fact of that, and it was clearly understood that
90% of
trustees don't
everything-
talk to the attorney.
Right.
Trustees need to talk to
Her or the mayor.
mayor.
I remember that.
Well, but I will tell you that back when we eliminated the town manager position, which you can look it up, I think it was around 2015-ish, or I don't know if you remember. It was with, when Bob Squire, we eliminated then. The way it was set up was that the clerk and who ended up being the planning and zoning officer, which ended up being Mike Carter, Jerry Keffer, who was streets and parks, if they had questions, they asked me. If it was, you know, like a run of the mill question or something going on in day-to-day operations. Now, I don't see, I mean, that's fine, and I'm around, but I don't see why maybe, and you probably know more about this law or maybe can look into it. That's fine, or do we wanna have that streets and parks answers to board member whoever and clerk answers to board, I mean, for day-to-day questions, or do we want it all to go through the mayor? Which is fine, I mean, I kind of think it probably should be that way, but I do understand that I am also of the belief that the mayor runs meetings. That's really their role. They're not like some special whatever.
You
It's,
see the vacuum though, right?
yeah,
Whole-
yes.
Well, I thought it was my understanding that right now, everything goes to Erin.
Yes,
She's in charge of everybody.
everything goes there.
Every department runs underneath her wall.
But what
What is
she,
your understanding?
But I mean, that's what you guys decided when
Right.
Caleb left.
Right.
Yeah.
This is all when Caleb left.
right,
Because there's somebody,
Okay, what about everything?
there's a place to go also, you're here.
So
Yeah.
if you guys, you know, have a question for the attorney, you come to me and say, you know, can you talk to Dan about so-and-so or
Right, and
whatever, and then
there
I
is-
call him.
An ordinance, I just know because I was looking through minutes for some other thing that the board members ask Aaron, like, they don't go to a certain employee and say, like, Art doesn't go to Deontay and say, hey, you need to do this, you know.
Right,
I
you can't
believe
have eight chiefs.
But I would feel
Yeah.
that the only person if Art had a question about streets and parks, the person he should be going to would be Mickey. Because
Right, but-
Mickey has those people, but then the question is, should Art be going to Mickey? Or where does that,
But then if
Where
Art
does it funnel?
and Brandy go to Mickey and say different things, you
right, that's
know,
a problem.
yeah,
Or that's the public though. The
If-
public
if-
finds somebody,
yeah,
they go to the person that they know
or they
that's on the
see on
board
the
or
street,
whatever and
yeah.
say, you know, you're in my neighborhood. I'm gonna come and ask Brandy.
That's why I was saying, if we make a clear decision, everybody's gotta know that.
Yeah,
Right,
and
absolutely,
it's all about the public. I think that's how it came about with the mayor and manager positions. I know in Colorado Springs, the mayor, they have a mayor because they want people to elect them. The people choose their leadership. Then the mayor cuts ribbons, runs meetings, and smiles for the press. But the manager is the one that the police chief comes to, the road and bridge guy comes to. You know, you have to have someone that you go to with your problems. You can't just go find a board member. We're all volunteers anyway, you know?
And we need that in writing. We need it in an ordinance,
A
so
clear chain of
that
That's what I'm
command.
saying.
somebody can come over here and say, here it is, right here.
Well, and a board member can say, wait a minute, did you talk to so-and-so? Why are you talking to me?
Right.
Say, you know, that you need to be able to hand that off.
Well, the thing, what I have experienced is people come to ask me a question about something like, let's say at the park, right? And what I tell them is, well, I need to go talk to Neil, I need to pose this to Neil and see what his take is on it. And then if there was a contention, then I would come to Aaron and route it through that way. It's never gone to that point, it was always,
Right.
you know, wasn't, last one was innocuous, when did the sprinklers come on, I don't wanna get caught down there. You know, well, you're supposed to be out of here by the time the sprinklers come on anyway, so.
Right,
But anyway, I mean, it shouldn't be the point where if somebody comes and asks, Kit, oh, I can't do that, you have to go talk to Aaron. You know, we should all have the little bit of wherewithal to, okay, well, let me see if I can help grease the skids a little bit.
yeah, let me
with
see if I can
The,
help
the
figure this
concept
out.
that you said before, we all work together for the common good of the town. And if that's not what this is, well, then you guys can have my laptop.
Well, there still has to be a place to, you
No,
know,
no.
for them to get the final answer too.
But so you're feeling that there should be more of a manager type position or like, even if we had like planning and zoning and, streets and parks, that if they had a big question that couldn't be answered before the next town board meeting, that they would come to Aaron and then Aaron would talk to whatever, or is it easier to have it across the board, and if they have an existential crisis or something, it goes to the mayor or whatever?
I really like that term that you guys came up with earlier, coordinator.
Let me
Because
ask
then
this
the
question of
coordinator
Aaron,
says, well, I
Are you
will tell
having any
so-and-so,
problems?
you know?
Does it work with you being the head?
As far as citizens reaching out or
Yeah, everything.
I think citizens
Coordinator.
like talking to you guys, the board members, because they voted for you, you know, I'm not
But I gotta.
an elected official.
Right.
I think that's a lot of times why they come to one of you rather
Well,
than coming in here.
I think the separation is that if you think it's a board matter, you say, I'll put it on the agenda,
Yeah,
and then we discuss it as a board.
yeah, I mean, most times if a citizen comes in wanting something, I put it on the agenda, I have them fill out an agenda request.
But on
This is
the,
what you
on the town
That's
side,
that
are you
town
having any issues with
that
like
kind of came
the
up
parks people, Neil's people coming up and are you having an issue with being able to administer to them or manager to them?
No, I mean, they come to me for HR stuff and payroll questions and stuff
Right,
like
so they
that,
know
but
that-
me, like
Those are just
Christy and I were
mine.
talking about this
You
yesterday.
tried those.
I'm in the office, I'm not
Right.
out there with them every day in the parks or on the
Right.
streets. So to some extent, me managing street and parks, maybe they should be under the board and not me, because I'm not out there operating the machinery or,
Right.
you know.
See, and I do feel, looking at this coordinator position, that there are some things in here that I feel should be handled, like, Mickey, if he would be willing to take on that role, if we feel he is capable of taking on that role. Like, there's some that specifically talks about like safety things in this position that, as far as like equipment and things, and I think that that's something that our streets and parks manager should be something that they handle. I don't think we need this person, it just creates so much more levels, because most likely whoever this person is gonna say, hey, Mickey, do this. Do we really need this person delegating that to Mickey, or do we just go to Mickey and say, okay, maybe we're gonna pay you this many more dollars an hour, and are you able to come up with a safety
I think Neil
plan?
was pushing these issues when this was written, because it just wasn't happening one way or the other. And so one solution to that was this coordinator, who was not the town manager. I still say it, a dangerous term.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of it's paperwork, you know, and the diesel, blah, blah, blah. And for whatever reason, I think Neil felt that just that kind of semi-bureaucratic stuff, and it is technical too,
Yeah.
was taking more time from, you know, managing the parks and streets than it warranted. And so that it was a sort of bureaucratic function. And,
Administrative.
Yeah.
Correct.
yeah,
But the coordinators has to be accountable to us, the board, to make sure that Neil, using him, is getting compliant with this stuff.
Right.
You follow me? In other words,
but Neil doesn't answer to.
right.
Actually, I think this one says.
Well, yeah, he does, and according to this job description, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I said that, I just realized, and I'm trying to think why that happened. I think it's because the lawyer said, is Neil gonna be an officer then, or the, you know? And he got into this legal schmiegel stuff about who's an officer, who's not.
Right.
All officers, if we're not elected, then we're an officer, like any one of us could be an officer and go do code enforcement.
Well, there's statutory officers, and you're the only one, I think, because you're a
It
double.
has to be.
You're the clerk and a treasurer.
Yeah.
That's a statute, it's in the law.
Sure, they're
But-
the only officer.
The others can be by our declaration. I don't know what that means legally. But once again, it goes back to this, the way the law is written, I see this vacuum of where is the management authority reside, you know? It's- The law is maybe deliberately vague because we're little pipsqueak outfits. Right?
We don't count.
Yeah.
One of the
Didn't you
things,
have to leave at 10?
Yeah,
You gotta
I've
go.
got a little bit of leeway,
Oh,
so.
okay.
I gotta leave at noon, by the way, so.
yeah, I need to be done with you. One of the things I know in like this section 5, and I made notes, and it talks about this person being, needing to do budget and being able to budget, and I didn't really understand, like, what does this person need to, but if it's like a planning and zoning type person, if Mickey as the Parks Department is saying, we need to do X, Y, Z, I didn't really understand, like, some of the stuff in here, I didn't understand the necessity of, like,
Christie, are you talking about work with the town clerk and BOT to develop business plans?
This is a 5-year capital plan and annual
Yeah.
budget.
It's because the town manager historically did the 5-year capital plan. And we need input from Neil in the past,
right, yeah,
on
because it needs to be a
what needs to
group
be
process.
prioritized, you know, as far as
Right.
paving and what needs to be fixed in the parks. So that, I think that's why that remained.
Okay, I just feel that whoever this person is has got to be willing to be a team player and not have this attitude, well, that's not my job. And if that means I'm gonna help Mickey with his budget, you know, what prioritizing things, and that's what it means. And if that means Erin's in on that conversation and she's like, yeah, we really don't have the money. Can you dial it back? That's what it means. I don't wanna see, and we're not big enough, that there be all these departments that are just out there doing their own thing and nobody's talking to each other, and
Hence,
Like Silver Cliff.
right?
And in the end of this, so there was, I didn't rewrite everything under the sun. I took some of this from existing job descriptions, but, two-way communications. The coordinator must have strong interpersonal, verbal, and written skills to ensure all communications are accurate, given with the appropriate level of urgency. And this is the big one of mine, and respect.
Which thing are you talking about?
He's got the-
I got 5 of them here.
Yeah, I had just.
The coordinator.
And
Town coordinator.
Mark and I spent a lot of time on this thing.
Town operations
With
coordinator.
Aaron.
Town operations
Roger,
coordinator.
Remember, we spent a lot of time right in here,
Mhm.
all of us coming up with this to cover all the bases.
Well, and I didn't see like, number 8, I believe it talked about franchise agreements, and I think we only have one franchise agreement, and that is with Black Hills, which I don't remember when that's even up again. I don't remember, 'cause originally it was like 75-year franchise agreement, and we changed that.
And that probably
Yeah, it was
changed.
something only a 5-year.
Yeah, and maybe like a 25-year one now with them.
That's
but-
part of the job.
I just feel that there's we could definitely tweak this more, because I feel that there's some things in here that would scare someone to apply for this. It might be really great. I don't want to, and I actually am thinking, I don't know who right now, but someone that's, when I think about the code enforcement stuff, and I think about how people can get so fired up about that kind of stuff,
Say that again.
when I think about the code enforcement aspect of this, and people can get so mad when you're coming to talk to them, that it would be maybe better. We can't decide that this would be, but if it were someone that's been here a while, that knows people, that is able to, establish some sort of oh yeah, my cousin or whatever, like a rapport that gives them a little bit more credibility than this new guy that's not even from here, and
Belts.
now he's telling me that I have to clean up my yard. Really? I've been here for 55 years. You don't have the right to tell me that. And I'm not saying I don't want to look at people that aren't from the valley, but we've hired people not from the valley and it hasn't worked.
Well, somebody like.
People from the valley and it's
What Terry
worked.
just did with Ed.
And
Yeah.
that's-
Ed's ready to walk off the job.
Yeah,
The code has to be very clear about it.
exactly.
And if it's not, then, then you're giving somebody something that has some vagary in it, then they can pick their friends, or they can just be
Right.
tough on everybody.
And that's why
It's really
one
hard.
thing that we talked about, and maybe this needs to be added into this position or modify this position, is that they would be able to start looking through our ordinances and saying like, this is great, I feel this needs to be modified, or, this, why do we even have this, or, that,
Look for ambiguity.
yes,
I'm thinking the
yes.
first year of the job is to review and recommend changes in the code. And
I think that's in here someplace, isn't it?
that would be part of it right there. I mean, that would be part of the job description. Is it the first year where you are expected to review, become familiar with, and make recommendations on code change? And that, for that first year, they can go around the town and look at everything and see what really is a problem. Is it a problem if somebody plugs their RV on the street and plugs it into the house? And if it isn't a problem, then we don't worry about it. If it is a problem, then maybe we need to talk about time limits.
I think
So there's a lot of different things that can be done.
Sure.
Um,
Item 3 kind of addresses that. Recommend that the town clerk such ordinances, regs, policies may be appropriate for the town. This requires the ability to recognize problems existing in future
Actually,
and
just
to
to
Draft
or recommend draft. And that was an important part, by the way.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
draft part. Regulations, grant applications and policies that comply with state and fed regs and are fit for small town application.
Well, like, the only thing I would want to do is add something to that about there being a time limit to get it done, but that is your first year's task.
'cause
Anyone who takes this job, their first year is to be applied to this part of the code.
Kind of a,
And good luck.
they'd be on this probation for a year.
That's part of it, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Is to learn the code and become familiar
yeah,
with it.
absolutely, that makes perfect sense.
I mean, plenty to tweak it here. I mean, the one big thing, and here's, as somebody pointed out, besides important details like that, is we are saying that Mickey would answer to this person, and I think that probably is inappropriate.
I don't know if it's appropriate, and that was one note that I
I'm saying
made to myself, which was, where does the streets and parks end and this position begin?
Mm-hmm.
That was just my own note that I didn't put on there, but.
Well, I'm not sure why, I don't remember why we kept that in about supervising.
Well, remember that when Caleb left, we brought everything together and put it underneath Aaron so that we could have a central point of contact thing. But if this position was put into place, then maybe this position would relieve a bunch of that type of administrative pressure from Aaron, right? So now this person would take care of, would be in charge, shouldn't say really in charge, but responsible for streets and parks.
Oh, like that streets and parks would end, yeah.
It would go to be underneath this umbrella, this person is the umbrella, is the overall umbrella for that.
That's item 2.
And I think a question, and I know that Mickey's gonna be gone for a couple of days, but maybe, and I don't have a problem talking to Mickey and asking, like, this business where, item 12 talks about all of the, as risk manager for the town, requires monitoring of insurance needs, review of oversight of safety training. Some of that is more related, I feel, to the equipment that we have, the streets and the parks. So I feel that maybe we should visit with Mickey and ask him if he's willing to take on a bigger role if we obviously paid him a bit more, or does he not want it? Because if he doesn't, then that changes everything too.
Well, that's why it was in here, Christie, because at the time, the sentiment was a lot of this could be very time consuming and somebody's got to be out there managing the troops.
Right.
So where does this is not one of these hybrids, it requires field experience, but a lot of bureaucratic paperwork pushing and stuff,
Right.
which has to be done. And I think Neil's opinion, I'm not trying to speak for him, was that a lot of this simply wasn't happening. So,
Was it being done,
yeah, so
getting done?
So, Aaron, we get a annual review by CIRSA, right? Somebody from the state comes in and checks on our safety compliance. And that's what I remember Neil talking about.
Neil drives them around to the parks and over to the shop, and there's always things that they want fixed and.
Right. So I think that's what this applies to.
Yeah, that's where
Yeah.
the spec came for the playground material and stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, stuff like that.
So part of the reasoning here was this coordinator works in coordination with the existing groups and takes part of the liaison with the state and all that, those duties, rather than having the field guys in their office doing all that stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. It seems to me like, from a practical standpoint, I see, it's Monday morning and everybody gets together and the coordinator says, how's it going in parks? What do you need?
Yeah.
What do you need from me? And I have had people from the public and Aaron tell me that this is important to them. Try to deal with that this week or come back to me with an idea on how to deal with it.
Yeah. Recognize problems.
He's coordinating. And then the parks guy says, well, you know what, the inspection people are coming down. I'm busy mowing. Would you mind taking them around today?
Sure.
So I mean, he has his hands in everything, but he's not doing everything. He's making sure it gets done.
Yes, and
Jack of
that may not be
trades,
clear.
master of
Exactly. He's the coordinator. That's truly the right description.
But also doing the planning and zoning and the code enforcement.
Yeah,
And
none.
And I wonder about code enforcement. I have reservations about how we do that. I've watched it in Salida and Buena Vista over the last year. And they have 2 people that drive around all day looking for violations.
I don't want
That's
that.
what they do. And they're reading the code book and they're looking in somebody's yard. And then for 2 hours, they're in the car sleeping in the truck.
Chief
But-
Karen
It's, how real is that job? How big of an issue do we have with that here? Do we need to have somebody that does that specifically?
I
Or
don't
just
think,
part of somebody else's job?
right, I think that's what it is, it's part of somebody else's job. I think that because it's been so not done for the last 3 years, that things are getting pretty complacent right now. That maybe for a little bit, it's gonna be a little more work on the front end. I mean, I'm just gonna use the example, the other month, we were in planning commission and the guy who had, by the way, already set up his, what kind of,
His,
I call it an ocean container, but.
right, his storage container,
Yeah, back behind,
sunflower.
Sunflower, and he came in and told us sat in the chair like this, and was just like, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
really,
I'm
is this
gonna do
happening?
this, I'm gonna do
And I'm
that.
gonna, and everyone's doing it, and we said, well, no, we have an ordinance that says you can't have that. And it was very clear to me when he walked out that he really didn't crap what we said. He was gonna do whatever he wanted.
He's
And
saying
we
that.
really didn't have anyone
Right.
that, to stop him from doing it.
But
So we
Tim,
need something like
Just so
that.
you know, Caleb had to, and Dwight
I
had to
know,
shut him
shut it
down.
down.
Because he started remodeling that building, the
Yeah.
apartment up there.
So there are
with no
some,
permit or anything.
there are some things that do happen. Now, the other part of that is in talking before you got here,
He'd have
Melanie and
art-
Aaron were
he
saying that
didn't
we
follow
might,
rules.
we have a part-time parks guy that might be interested and has a good temperament and personality that would be good to help with going out and talking to
And
people.
maybe part of that code enforcement is that they spend that year, that first year, reviewing the code, observing the town, and then they come back to us with a report. And we sit down in a workshop session and they say, well, I've seen this, this, and this. This really didn't seem to be a problem. It occurred in 4 places and it had been there for 50 years. You know, give us an idea of what the temperament is of people out there. And what kind of problems and are they real problems and how does our code address them? And I think that person who's going to enforce the code, if they have a hand in the beginning on how to develop it and make it better, that they're going to do a better job of enforcing it too. They'll be part of it, they'll be stakeholders. And in the meantime, we don't just let a lot of things go, but we spend some time studying it ourselves too.
Yeah.
I mean, I drive around and see stuff all the time and,
I know.
but do I really want to do something about it? How much of it is up to me to press?
Well, like, yeah, or for example,
It
is
is a
it
code cover.
really an issue if someone built their fence with the rough cut facing in versus out? Like, is that really ending our lives? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that really an issue?
I thought that was a
And there
crazy
are
thing anyway.
citizens that is a big issue to them, but if we don't have an ordinance in place that specifies that, it's not an issue.
Question of priorities too, isn't it?
Right.
How
Absolutely.
about that camper guy, that family that was camping maybe across the street from your house?
Oh, gosh, that, so what that was, no, he was there in his van and he was staying with my tenant, his daughter. And so he said to me, I met him and he was like, is it okay if my van is here? And I said, well, yeah, that's fine. And, next thing I know, he set up a little tent and I was like,
No.
what is it? You can't do that. Well, in the meantime, I left for CML and I told Kenny, I said, have him put the van and park it in front of our lots, because we have those 2 vacant lots between the apartments, and have him park there. I don't care if he puts his little tent up to shade with the grandkid and stuff, but not at the park. In the meantime, someone from the Parks Department goes and talks to him and he goes, oh, I'm fine. I had beers with the mayor the other night. She said it's fine. And I was like, that is not how that played out at all. So, but I mean, yeah, it's things like that. And then I called Kenny and I was like, get him over on our side of the street.
And that's the
There's a
thing
good
about.
case though, where we definitely need somebody with the enforcement power.
Right, exactly.
And that would be the thing where I, as a trustee, would have no problem with saying, would you please go to the town hall and speak to our coordinator?
Yeah.
Here's the right guy to talk to. And Aaron will set up a time for that or take that message in there, or Melanie in there, and get that message to the coordinator. That's the person you need to talk to. Now, if he spreads it out from there, then that's up to him to do that. I say him, her.
Whatever. And then I think too, that if there was a person that was kind of helping with that and the parks, because the parks guys, they see everything.
Yes.
They're everywhere.
Yeah,
So
all
if we
day.
have a parks person that's interested in that a bit, you know, maybe we offer them, okay, we're gonna offer you a little bit more money and we want you to help with this, or, you know, or once we get the ordinances in place better, then we could go to that person and say, okay, you're our eye on, in the field.
And that's part of the coordinator that needs to be understood, is all of these different things that their expectations need to be clearly in the job description.
Yeah,
We tried here, I mean,
I know, Mark.
Randy,
Yeah, you also need to remember several years ago when, Gabriel was down, you remember that one. And I got into a big fight and, you know, we need to have more than just one of our people there and another than talking to this person here, and then all of a sudden, these rumors start flying.
Mhm.
You know, we need to make sure that we cover ourselves with having at least two of our people down there, whether it be a board member or another employee, so that we don't have these situations where, well, so-and-so told me this, and, well, no, but so-and-so didn't tell you.
and it's all about that chain of command too, like, I just had it the other day with Barry Keene. You know, he called me and he's like, well, I need to be talking about this grant, I need to be talking to the contractor and all this, and, you know, and he tried to say things about Melanie, and I said to him, Barry, I need to talk with Melanie and find out what's going on here. Boy, he didn't like that. But I don't feel as a board, and I know people will come and talk to us, and maybe they like talking to Kit better than me, or they like talking to Randy better. And so they go to the people that they feel comfortable talking to, and that's why we have a board. But I don't think it's our job to say, oh, we'll take care of that. I think it's our job to go, okay, let me get over to the
Yes.
town hall and see what's going on, or let me see what I can I don't know, let me see what I can figure out with that.
We have to back up everyone that we hire. You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, they're like.
One of the things I wanted to, a point that should be made is that whoever is doing the code enforcement, whatever it is, they are backed by the board, the mayor, everybody. You
Absolutely.
know,
And
I'm
that's
not
what,
gonna go into it, but we all kind of know a little bit what Chuck thinks about stuff. But I was told point blank by your predecessor, I'm not gonna enforce that.
Then there's
They're
no
my
point in
friend-
having it.
They're my friends. No, there was a point to have it, but he was unwilling to stand by what was in the code.
That brings up a real important point, and that is that the code has to be clear on what a violation is, what the penalty is, and what the process is for.
Right, because right now it just says that
So
if you're in violation, it said that the code enforcement officer determines the fine
Yeah, I know,
and how long and how many days and stuff
So
like
there,
that.
you know, there, I'm gonna refer to another little town, but they give you essentially a ticket. And what it amounts to is that if you're not there, they post it on your front door. And you are to, you know, you are to go to the town hall and pay the penalty. And if you are opposed to the penalty, you have to get on the agenda for a board meeting. And that's the process. And at the end of every board meeting, there's a half an hour slot for the people that are gonna appeal their zoning violations.
I think at the end of the day,
That's a hard thing.
whoever this position is, diplomacy is like the number one thing that they have to do.
Diplomacy and
And
tact.
yes, absolutely, I mean, and I
But-
hate to put that on, and they need diplomacy and tact, but what they need to do, I agree with you at the beginning, is go through all the ordinances, and they need to be clear. And I sat in Title 10 in 2022 with Gabriel when and I kept saying, the most important thing is that our codes are clear so that our staff is never in a position where it's like, well, I don't think, it depends on how I feel today. And today I feel like I don't want to mess with that. So,
Well, and you know, that's part of how we write up the enforcement. If the code enforcement officer has the option, he can look at it and say, you know, you have 5 days to correct this problem. You have 30 days to correct
Then
this
after that
problem.
30 days,
Yeah,
then you.
exactly. You have a
you're
maximum.
responsible for,
And you
so
can
many
pick any
dollars a
time
day.
up to that, or we get it corrected. So, you know, if it looks like they got problems and, you know, they have issues, they can't get to it today or tomorrow, then you're doing it. But they need to, but it still has to be addressed.
Sure. You know, this issue, this may sound completely vague and not helpful, but this is a dilemma that's been around forever. I mean, I wrote a lot of regulations, safety regulations for every industry, or helped write them. And you get caught in what the English, when I worked in England, said, there's Roman law and there's English law. Roman law is, you know, your chicken's peck in my yard, we cut off your head, that's it, that's done. English law say, well, you know, get your chickens out of there, we'll give you time to do it. And then that gets subject to, at least my buddy, I'll cut him some slack.
And there's the small town thing.
So there needs
That's
to be a
so much.
clear guideline in how long they have to get the chickens off your property.
With some wiggle room for unforeseen circumstances.
For buddies.
Yeah, no, not for buddies, but for unforeseen, I'm out of town, I'm out of town for those 2 weeks, I can't get it.
Right.
I'll get it as soon as I get back, you
We
know,
did that
that
with
kind of
Ace
thing.
Hardware Light situation.
So you get half the chickens out of there this month, and that shows some effort on their part.
Yeah,
I would
Yeah.
go with that.
That's,
That kind
and
of
that's
stuff.
exactly right with the ACE. We worked with ACE for, God, it was what, 5 months,
Yeah.
7 months, something like that. And I was continuously asked by the guy
Mr. Z.
who brought it, Mr. Z, who brought it to the attention, right? What's going on? What's going on? And I said, well, we are working together to do this. We both recognize that everybody's busy. At the time, Jeremy was trying to get that other little business going that wasn't actually in that building. So it wasn't something that he could dedicate 100% of his time to for 2 weeks until it was finished. It was, okay, well, we're gonna go out and try a shade this night, you know, coordinate with, it was like 3 or 4 of us.
Efforts being made.
There was incremental progress being made and it was measurable, right?
And it's such that
And
when
it worked.
someone's complaining, it's never gonna get done fast enough.
Right.
But that's not the problem, the problem is we're working to get this
Right.
fixed.
We were able to, I was able to tell, Bob and Mary that we are working toward a, you know, a solution. And these are the incremental steps that we've done so far. So it is not dead. You know, they were afraid that it was just gonna
And,
get
and
pushed.
back to the diplomacy part. Jeremy fabricated the shields and he was actively involved in the solution when he had the time.
We were fortunate that he had all the assets that he needed. He had a lift. He had the ability to do metal work. Well, he did it out of cardboard first,
Right,
or
prototype.
banana boxes were up there first.
So I've put some things down, go ahead.
Back to, we were talking about the coordinator and communications. Item 10, problem solving thing. Responded to document and resolve minor complaints from citizens and others, and we put all major complaints to the town clerk along with recommendations for action to resolve such complaints. So
Yeah, that's,
we were talking about, you know, how do we funnel this information? You know, who do we funnel it to make something happen? And that's what item 10 was supposed to be.
yeah, okay. So I've just kind of made some notes about what this position requirements. So we can start modifying this and maybe we all take this home and kind of make some changes to it ourselves, but number 1, tact and diplomacy. Number 2, work on the codes for the first year. And then number 3, work on getting their IBC, their, whatever, certifications, if they don't already have them.
I think we said he had a year, didn't we?
I don't know what it said, but,
ICC certification.
Have or obtain. Carl,
Within
that's
1 year of
the
hire.
okay,
That's what we.
that's fine. But that needs to be part of it. If they don't have it, I don't want to scare people. I don't want to lose an opportunity. And I keep saying local because there actually are some, I won't say young, not like I don't want 18, 19, 20-year-old kind of person, but some 30, 40-year-old people that did grow up here or have been here for a lot of years. And I don't want to scare people like that are kind of more aware of how the valley works and the old time stuff, I don't want to scare them away from applying for a job like this.
Sure, and as far as the certification, it's another one of these balancing acts, because if at some point, if they don't have it or aren't working on it, somebody say, oh, it's arbitrary. I mean, you just decided you don't like this color, you know, and so someplace there's gotta be a standard that they can back themselves up with or reback them up.
But we
Right.
could we put
With
something,
my container.
could we put something in the qualifications that they have lived in Custer County for
I don't think you can
5
do
years?
that. I think that's against the law.
Yeah, I bet you that's a.
Well, we've got it, you can't be a board member unless you live in the town.
For a year. But that's a board member and we're like
3
elected.
months, I believe.
That's an election to elect a condition.
Maybe under desired qualifications.
Yeah,
there we
Something
go.
vague like.
And as long as we
Knowledge of
verify that that's an acceptable language to put under desired qualifications with the attorney, cause you know, that could be skewed
A
all
working
wrong.
knowledge of small town living.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That's vague
Absolutely.
enough.
We can get Art to do it. He knows all about small town.
I'm kind of thinking
How
that
did we get on
we're
this?
talking about
With
a
that.
full-time
I thought-
position
I
and a
think-
part-time position. I think the part-time is the building inspector. I think they need to focus just on that. And that's 2 days a week, and it's a defined 2 days that everybody knows. That's my, I mean, it's hard, but you know,
I think in talking with some builders that we have in the valley, that they really struggle with the 2 days a week because, you know, we've got,
they all put up with it with the electrical inspector and the
that
building
is
inspector.
true, that is true. I'd still come back to like what Mark says, that it's hard to fill a part-time position, because then you get people that are really wanting to be retired and.
Well, maybe there's
That's
a
where
retired surveyor that needs something to do.
But that's where your experience comes from. Someone who's been in the trades and is
Yeah.
retired. And there are no surveying inspections, so I'm not willing to do it.
One C, Christie's already has the IBC.
Yeah, so,
Must, I mean, to pass the building inspector certifications required to enforce the code.
Provide an existing certification or pass it within a certain amount of time.
Right.
yeah, so that does make this person a, building and zoning. And were you here when Melanie talked about that right now, we have about 11 open permits right now? That's it. So could this be incorporated? Now, if we got hammered, like let's say someone comes in and they want to develop that acreage south of town, bam, maybe we pull in a part-time Jerry Pearl position, a project manager that's gonna help us with that, but we're not there yet, so do we need to?
Jerry was kind of who I had in mind for the building inspector.
Yeah,
That's what I was leading.
we've all been kind of talking about that, but we can't just give him the position.
No, but I mean, he fits it and he's the kind of guy we're talking about.
He has a good
How do I
person,
do
he's
that guy thing?
personable.
That's so wrong.
I don't care, I don't think of guy as like, it's like a general term, like you guys, are
That's the
you
way I think
saying,
about it.
I mean, what is that, you know, does that mean
I
men?
got somebody mad at me once.
Change it to y'all.
Right, yeah,
Y'all,
we're from the
y'all,
south now.
y'all.
So then, do we want to all kind of go
Okay, we can do
take
that.
this and do some homework on this ourselves and come back and have another meeting about what that looks like?
Well,
Taking,
Looks like?
I think that question, the most important person to ask is Aaron. Are things flowing smoothly enough now that we can kick this down the road just a little bit?
Yeah.
You're okay with
Yeah,
that?
I'm okay with that.
Cause she picks up the load and I wanna make sure that, you know, she's willing to do that a little longer.
Yeah.
We're vacillating, we're politicians, so,
That's fine, yeah.
all right.
everything that you've heard, you've been writing down notes on this?
Do you want a copy of this? Yeah.
Like,
we'll
and
get
we're
a
recording
copy,
you know, just like when we did the facade thing. You and Melanie sit there and went through everything and then wrote down things. Could you maybe give us a list of what you have and Christie,
you think's
give us
important?
I'm sorry,
What she thinks is important.
what she thinks is important and what we've been discussing. And you've been taking notes too on what you think. I mean, the rest of us just came in here and got this right now, so.
Yeah, sorry.
I'd like to see those.
With the public and what they have to say.
Yeah.
That's.
Well, and I just want to say that there was nothing that would have said that none of you could have reached out to Aaron and say, will you make me a copy of that? I just did it and was, so, you know, feel free to, it's not just all me. You can get this information and.
Well,
I mean, I was already involved in creating this.
No, this was,
Yeah, that's
so
right. you
after
were.
Caleb left, this was kind
Yeah,
of put together.
so,
Could I ask for a copy of all of the job descriptions?
Oh, yeah, I, we didn't get one for. I'll
Like
give
one
you
for
some.
you know,
you can have mine, Kit, and then I'll send.
Okay. That's a rotation.
Yeah,
You didn't
fine.
see these as okay.
No, when I asked to schedule this meeting, shortly after that, I emailed Aaron, because I thought, I don't even know what our current job descriptions are. And so I emailed Aaron and I said, could you please send me a copy of all the job descriptions of the town
Okay,
manager
so
job
that's where you are.
descriptions, so, and then I started taking notes,
that's
so.
right. And so I think, but just for my input and Aaron and Mark and Randy will back it up, I think. Because we spent an awful lot of time to come up with this and we worked with both Melanie and Aaron and Neil to cover even the parks, you know, the guys out mowing and plowing. So when you read through all these, you'll see, and this time more eyes can do it, but we did a pretty thorough job in it. We didn't do it overnight. It
No,
took
it was a
many,
few
many.
We have a bunch of
sit
meetings.
downs, yeah.
I just don't wanna scare people away from applying.
Right.
You
No.
know,
Right.
No.
To me, there's three steps, and one of them is that you put things into the job description that are a little bit more vague, but they round out the personality that you're looking for. Then there are things that are very specific that you want to be able to come back to for performance and compare performance after the fact. And then there is the other part of it that are clues to give you in the interview process. Because you can get an awful lot in the interview process by asking about something in the job description and then seeing what you get body language and all that.
Kit, that's where we got from Neil, from his previous employment, a lot of these safety issues, and different things that
Absolutely.
he brought up that we were not, addressing,
And
since
he's
been
a
on board.
nuts and bolts guy. So-
And that's why they're listed in here as the coordinator, just to make sure that you, Kit Shy, working, below Neil Mars is making, because Neil's responsible for you doing it right. He hired you to do it right, but he's what we as a trust.
Well, and safety.
Yeah, we're not going around Neil to talk to the employees out there.
Not at all.
Neil is our contact, and if we are gonna put, it's now Mickey under this position, then we don't go around this
No, not at all,
position
not at
to
all.
go to Mickey and say, oh, I think you need
That's
to do whatever.
Well, and that's why it's so important to
Right,
back up our employees,
Well, It's
Absolutely.
just like right, it just had happened, these two trucks are sitting here leaking on our parking lot. Well, somebody screwed up and didn't inspect those things. We're not gonna go to, what was the guy that used to be here that was in charge of the
Neil?
shop, not Neil, the
Oh.
other before.
Mike,
Mike. And so, not go to Mike, say, Neil, that didn't get done. It's
Yeah.
leaking in the parking lot, how come?
And that's
So that,
Mickey.
I'd use that example because it just happened.
But the other way, if somebody comes with a complaint about one of our employees that's from the outside, the employee's right until we find out the truth.
Exactly.
We back them up in every way
Oh,
until we find out.
Well, and the other part too, as we write these things and figure out chain of command and whatnot, is that it's not just for this board. This board clearly feels that teamwork and everything is important. It's for the upcoming boards that maybe are like, well, I'm gonna go talk to so-and-so because I'm on the town board. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. And we have it spelled out clearly.
Yes. Jamie?
Yeah. So I'm good. I don't know when you guys would
Let's
maybe
set
want
another
to
date.
reschedule another day.
Yesterday, sounds good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Day after yesterday.
So how long would it take you to get all these notes together and back to us?
week or two.
Yeah, really, I mean, what's your
Well-
schedule?
Two key things is diplomacy and then the other things about the IVC, and the IVC thing is already in here.
Well, that would be
But all we
good
have
to
to do
get
is put a
together on the
deadline.
31st of July, which is 2 Fridays from now, if that works for everybody. I mean, it's up to you. Fridays are pretty open.
Yeah, I'm open on Thursdays and Fridays, pretty wide open.
Or Thursday afternoons are good for me.
31st is good for me.
That's fine.
Third.
That's a Friday.
That's a Friday.
And that's the least, Aaron's least
That's
busy
2 weeks
day.
from now. What time? You wanna do 9 again?
A little bit later, if you don't mind.
Like what?
I've got a concert.
9:30 or 10 or, oh, so you gotta you gotta drink some hair of the dog before you can come, is that what you're saying?
No, I've got it,
What time?
anytime, 10 o'clock.
9, 10? Does 10 work for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this should be a lot more brief.
I might have something, I'll double check.
So what day are we talking, 31st?
Friday.
31st. Possibly 10 o'clock.
But I agree, like, what Ken is saying, maybe look through this existing outline and kind of prioritize things and what do you think needs to go and this person definitely needs to have this versus we would like to see this or we would like to work toward this and then maybe we can, I mean, it's great. I'm not saying it's not great and a lot of work went into it. So if I say clean it up, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying, so maybe we can get people that will apply for it.
Yeah, these documents evolve.
Well, I've got two little things I'd like to think about, and that is you said some required short-term goals and then some desired long-term goals. And I'm gonna that's what I'm gonna insert it, so I'll figure that out. The short term is that they need to become qualified. If they're gonna do the inspections, they need to become qualified for that.
Yes.
And then long-term is learn the town and, you know,
Another reason why I think someone
work on the
that
zoning.
kind of has been here for a minute is
That's
good.
better. Yeah, that report thing is very important.
I know we're wrapping up, but it occurred to me that in the past, I started a project on my place and we had one inspector. And, you know, I was going by the code. And when my footing's in the ground, I said, well, I'll go get the placard, you know, the little orange thing and sign off in the back. And he said, nah, we don't do that anymore. Well, then he left and the next inspector came in and said, I don't see a record that
Where's
you
your
guys were
placard?
inspected. I said, I was. He accused me of lying. I said, I'm gonna make you dig these up. So, got to convince
It's
him.
back to
not.
the consistency.
What's that?
It's back to the consistency.
Yes,
This is
and
our
so
procedure.
I don't know if in here, when I'm thinking about it, that we emphasize the paperwork completion as strongly as we might, because
That brings up something. They need to coordinate with the electrical zoning inspector. There's a certain amount of things that are overlap between the two. And our new guy has to understand their
Yeah.
requirements as well.
there's a lot of requirements for this thing.
Well, and I will tell you kind of in that vein, so we were doing a remodel on one of our apartments, taking 2 apartments and turning them to one. And Caleb was the manager and I called him and he came and it happened to be my brother-in-law doing the work and we needed to have the stairs inspected. And so that he came and inspected, oh, these are perfect. I'd never seen stairs so great, and da-da-da-da. And he said great things and he was thrilled and had never seen work that good or whatever. Well, so then we came to the next part of the inspection, which was going to be the drywall. We have to make sure that you used enough screws and stuff. And so I'm waiting, because I was like the general, and so I'm waiting for him to show up for the inspection and he's late. And so I call and I don't know if you were here yet, and I was like, Caleb's supposed to be here, you know, he's like 15 minutes late to do this inspection. They gave me a cell phone and it turns out his wife had a flat tire or something, so I called, I was like, hey Caleb, you're supposed to be inspecting my apartments right now for the drywall, and he's like, oh, my wife had a flat tire and all that, and then he's like, well, I mean, you're fine, just go forward with it, because anybody that builds stairs like that, I know they're doing a great job. And I was like, wow. I mean, because that was so not okay. That's not how things should be done.
It's become more and more of a trend now too for people to hire a general contractor and they do all of it. They come in and deal with the town on the permits and all the inspections and all that. But what we found out at the county was that there needs to be some authorization somewhere along the way that the owner authorizes the contractor to do that stuff.
Oh, yeah, that makes
Because
sense.
what has happened is that they'll both end up doing the same thing, and they're not coordinating themselves. So you have to have some sort of signed document from the owner saying you allow that. And that's something that they do here. One of the reasons I hired the plumber that I did this last time I needed plumbing was because he was gonna handle all the inspections too. I didn't have to deal with anybody.
Yeah,
And that's pretty
It's
big deal
important.
anymore.
yeah. And so again, that
That's why we
comes
look
back
for it.
like with this position, they have to be willing to, I feel, if it's not already in place, but help write up a procedure of how so that doesn't happen. You know, it doesn't, you have the orange card, but you don't need it and you're a liar and, you know.
Yeah, a reasonable process, you
Yeah.
know, to protect the town and the applicant.
Right, and the citizen, of course, so.
I mean, you could put something in here that this coordinator will be subject to audit by the clerk or somebody.
But she's like, no.
Volunteer, I volunteer, yes. But some sort of audit, you know, and so there's a clear incentive to keep up with it. Because I was gonna have to dig all this stuff up. Holy
No.
Anyway, so I thought I'd just bring up that paperwork trail.
It's important. Paperwork is a major part of this job, whether someone wants it or not.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, well, I don't think we have to adjourn because it's just a workshop, so. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, everybody.
Let's see you next week. See you next week.
Okay.